What is up, guys? It's me, Zach Lee, back bringing some more daily NBA recaps. Hope you're all having a fantastic day, but today we got quite a few games to talk about, so if you are excited, then go ahead and destroy that like button, as well as if you are new to the channel, drop a sub and hit that bell to turn on post notifications so you can stay up to date with everything that goes on in the NBA on a daily basis. Like I said though, we do have quite a few things to talk about today, so let's just get right into it. Let's go! And the first game that we have to talk about today is the Los Angeles Lakers taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves in Minnesota. And if you are a Lakers fan, this game went just about as poorly as you could have expected it to go, as the Los Angeles Lakers from the get-go were getting scorched by Andrew Wiggins and the Minnesota Timberwolves. And when I say Andrew Wiggins, I mean the Andrew Wiggins, the man who was out there dropping 25 points in the first half against the Los Angeles Lakers. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a grudge that he has for being traded by LeBron James when he was first drafted, but Andrew Wiggins always seems to play extremely well against whatever team LeBron James is on. Granted, LeBron of course wasn't playing last night, but still you get the point. So Wiggins in the first half scoring 25 points, finished in the game with 28 points, and Karl Anthony Towns also continued to be extremely impressive last night, logging 28 points, 18 rebounds, and 4 blocks as well. So this game went great for the Minnesota Timberwolves, but not so much for the Los Angeles Lakers, of course, as without LeBron James, no one really stepped up. Their best player was Lance Stephenson off the bench with his 14 points and 6 assists. And all of this resulted in the Wolves claiming the 108-86 win over LA. The real story comes after the game though, as after the Minnesota Timberwolves defeated the Los Angeles Lakers, head coach and president of basketball operation for the Minnesota Timberwolves, Tom Thibodeau, was relieved of his duties. Yes, that is right. The Minnesota Timberwolves fired the man right after he brought them a win. Now, I know a lot of people have mixed feelings about this, but I'm curious to know what you guys think. Do you think Tom Thibodeau deserved to be fired? Were you at all surprised by the fact that he was fired in the way that he was? Let me know down in the comment section below. One night after the Toronto Raptors had just defeated one of their rivals in the Eastern Conference in the Milwaukee Bucks, they had to turn around and face yet another one of their rivals in the Eastern Conference in the Indiana Pacers. As leading into this game, the Indiana Pacers and the Toronto Raptors were pretty much neck and neck in the standings in the Eastern Conference, with the Raptors being the 2nd seed and the Pacers being right behind at that number 3 seed. So you already know that this was going to be a very good game, and it was a good game. Kyle Lowry returned for the Toronto Raptors after missing his past few games with a back injury. However, Kawhi Leonard did sit out this game for the Toronto Raptors, as the team is still sitting him in back-to-back games to preserve his health. Even without Kawhi Leonard though, the Toronto Raptors were still able to defeat the Indiana Pacers 121-105 to maintain their spot over Indiana in the Eastern Conference. And in order to get this win with Kawhi Leonard out, someone needed to step up big time for the Toronto Raptors, and that was none other than Norman Powell off the bench, as he was terrific last night, dropping 23 points and barely missing a shot. Also showing exactly why this Toronto Raptors team is so dangerous. It's not because of Kyle Lowry, it's not because of Kawhi Leonard, but it's because of their depth, as it seems on any given night, someone on that roster will beat you. Someone will have a big game, and there isn't much that you can do about it. For our next game of the day, we have Kemba Walker and the Charlotte Hornets taking on Devin Booker and the Phoenix Suns. Well, it wasn't Devin Booker and the Phoenix Suns for very long, as after just 12 minutes of action, Devin Booker had to leave this game in the first half for the Phoenix Suns because of back spasms. The guy really has a hard time staying healthy, so hopefully this doesn't continue to be a trend as his career progresses. That would be devastating. Anyways, as for this game without Devin Booker, a lot of other players on the Phoenix Suns did start to step up, such as Josh Jackson off the bench, DeAndre Ayton, as well as TJ Warren. All of those guys stepped up big time for Phoenix, and because of that, the Phoenix Suns were able to remain competitive with the Charlotte Hornets for most of the game. That is until Kemba Walker took over late in the fourth quarter. As with under 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, Kemba Walker absolutely dominated this game, scoring 18 points in the game's final minutes, including all 14 of the Charlotte Hornets' last points of the game. And because of that, the Charlotte Hornets were eventually able to get the 119-113 win over the Phoenix Suns. Kemba Walker finished the game with 29 points, and after the game, one of the most respected players in the NBA who comes off the bench for the Phoenix Suns, Jamal Crawford, says that he still thinks Kemba Walker is one of the most underrated players in the league despite being a couple-time All-Star, and says that when Kemba Walker gets going, he becomes virtually unguardable, and that is exactly what happened in this game last night. I'm curious to know what you guys think about this as well though. Do you still view Kemba Walker as one of the most underrated players in the league, even though he's made a couple of All-Star teams and most likely will make yet another All-Star team next month? Next up though, we have the Brooklyn Nets taking on the Chicago Bulls, and I'm just gonna say it right now, the Brooklyn Nets wound up getting the pretty easy 117-100 win over Chicago in this game, and Brooklyn on the year is now 20-21 on the year, and that is extremely impressive because earlier in the season when the Brooklyn Nets lost Caris LeVert due to an injury, who was their best player up until that point, everyone thought that their season was over. They would no longer be able to compete for the playoffs without Caris LeVert. However, so far that has been far from the truth, as of late the Brooklyn Nets have been playing some pretty good basketball, and a lot of that has to do with D'Angelo Russell, as last night he scored 28 points to go along with 5 assists, and this game was the 4th game in a row that he has played and logged at least 20 points in. And on the season, he seems to be getting better and better and better the more games that he plays. And of course, you also have other guys helping out like Spencer Dinwiddie, Jared Allen, and Damari Carroll from time to time, and even Shabazz Napier had himself a nice game off the bench last night with 18 points. So it's really starting to look like the Brooklyn Nets, even though they will be missing Caris LeVert for a majority of the season, could still make the playoffs. And if that happens in the Eastern Conference, then I don't think anyone will be able to do anything but respect the Brooklyn Nets for being as good as they were given all of the things that they've had to go through. The Washington Wizards taking on the Oklahoma City Thunder, and this game turned out a lot different than I think a lot of people expected it to turn out, as it was the Washington Wizards who were able to come away with a 116-98 win over the OKC Thunder, even though the Wizards are still playing without John Wall, who will be out for the rest of the season. And the main guy who stepped up in this game for Washington was Otto Porter Jr. off the bench. Now, it will be interesting to see what he continues to do for the rest of the season, because when John Wall was out for an extended period of time last season, one of the players who really stepped up the most was Otto Porter Jr. for the Washington Wizards, and that was the story last night as well, as he logged 20 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 blocks on the night. And once again, this was coming off the bench, and the bench role is a role that Scott Brooks, head coach of the Washington Wizards, says that he wants to see Otto Porter Jr. in for a little bit longer to determine whether or not that will be his permanent role with the team. As for the OKC Thunder, Russell Westbrook did log a triple-double of 22 points, 15 rebounds, and 13 assists, but also had 8 turnovers, and after the game, he lamented those 8 turnovers as the reason that the OKC Thunder lost this game, saying that he himself turned the ball over way too much. So the Los Angeles Clippers wind up coming back to defeat the Orlando Magic last night, 106-96, and this was behind Tobias Harris and his 28 points and 9 rebounds, as the Clippers are now 23-16 on the year. They're not as high in the standings as they were to start the season, but they are still one of those teams in the Western Conference that will remain very competitive in the Western Conference in their search for a playoff spot. And for the final game that we have to talk about today, the Atlanta Hawks wound up blowing out the Miami Heat at home, 106-82. The Miami Heat had been playing a lot better coming into this game too, so this is a loss that I am sure that they would like to forget about as soon as possible, as no one on the Miami Heat was able to get it going last night. Derrick Jones Jr., the best player, coming off the bench with just 14 points. As for the Atlanta Hawks, Trae Young led them in scoring with 19 points, while John Collins played really well as well with 13 points and 13 rebounds on 5 of 6 shooting from the field. And that does it for all of the games that we had to talk about from last night. So now it's time to get into the player of the day, where you guys have the opportunity to vote for who you think was the best player in the league last night by clicking the little eye icon in the top right hand corner of the video. Just remember, the only players whose team won though are eligible to win player of the day. And yesterday, that player was none other than Nikola Jokic and his 39 points, 12 rebounds, and 6 assists. So shout out to the Joker for winning player of the day. That though is going to do it for everything that we gotta talk about today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, once again, go ahead and destroy that like button, as well as make sure that you are subscribed to the channel with post notifications on so you can stay up to date with everything that goes on in the NBA on a daily basis. Thank you once again for watching though. You guys already know that you are the real MVPs, but that being said, until next time, I am out of here. Peace!